Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Hello, everyone. I wanted to speak about something that is noteworthy to all types of audiences on earth. Okay. So first of all, certain considerations to be made. You're listening to a human being whose mind appears to him visually. So in other words, when I am explaining, I am giving words to scenery I am seeing behind my eyes. I'm a visual thinker, as you may consider in modern times. Now, aside from this, I am also Muslim. I am also a human being who was opinionless, then became very spiritual, and then realized that there is limitations even to our spiritual efforts. And so, as a human being, I am here to tell you that there is something about religion that is superior, that has a superior conclusion than any sort of spiritual awakening. Okay? So you're listening to a human being that considers that we're all inside this existence. We've all opened our eyes in this place. You know? So we are inside a system. We call this system existence. It's an existential system. Okay? Now, when we look at various systems, when we look at the lives of the human being, it has occurred to me that our opinions do not match our reality. And what do I mean by this? I mean that there are human beings on this earth right now who are invalidating and going against this idea of an invisible original common denominator. So we have a percentage of the species being like, yo man, I can't believe in an invisible author to the world. Now, a person who says that, I can't choose to see an owner to this world. Well, let's look at human life then, all right? Do you own anything? Yes. Let's say you own a phone, you own a laptop, you own a car, you own a house. So you are administering that system, right? If somebody comes into your house, right? Some random person comes into your house and you're there chilling in the living room, and that person comes in there and you ask that person, how'd you get here? And the person's like, I don't know, I just opened my eyes and I'm here. Right? And you tell the person, this is my house, get out of here. And the person's like, no man, I just appeared here. This isn't your house. Who the hell are you? I don't acknowledge your authority. You see? So what I'm saying is, one paradigm, one approach is like, oh my God, we're in the middle of nowhere and nowhere is owned by nothing. Yeah, we're the kings of our world, you know? There's one attitude that's that way. There's another attitude which I think is the more cautious and intelligent attitude, that we have found ourselves, we have opened our eyes, our consciousness arrives in a setting that was designed before we even got here. You know, maybe this isn't too bizarre for the average child, but for me, the fact that there is existence prior to my existence is weird. It's weird AF. You see, the thing is that we human beings, by having consciousness, have given ourselves an agency, and that agency is an agency of ownership, right? If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey man, who owns you?" What is your answer? Who owns you? Do you know? Do you own yourself? Do others own you? Does the nation own you? Does the planet own you? Does the world own you? Or does God own you? Okay? So consider this, guys. You know, when I was in the spiritual paradigm, I was thrown in a subconscious process of self-worship. You know, when I was younger, I thought spiritual people, you know, who could see things, who had powers, who could ride the waves of synchronicities and all of that, I thought these people were like, my God, can I one day become a spiritual person like these people who knew the moment before it happened? And guess what? Not only did I become that person, but I realized the limitations of man and the authority we have. We do not have an authority to do everything here, right? And there are major sins and there are minor sins. And if somebody was like Mr. Within, unfortunately, you know, a percentage of the population doesn't speak religion, doesn't understand the possibility, the condition of being in a world that has an owner. Dear listener, I am not telling you to worship anything in the world. That's the problem. That's how the problems start. And I haven't even got to the title yet. The title's going to be the home run. So, I got to change the song. Oh my God. Sorry guys, I'm smoking too much cigarettes before I started the talk. I'm feeling a bit strange. All right. Oh my God, these ads. All right. So I'll begin. We're looking at the human condition. We're wondering about the organization and governance of 8 billion human organisms on this rock in the middle of nowhere where we call Earth. I am speaking not only as a Muslim, as a religious person who acknowledges a system admin, but I am speaking to you as a concerned human citizen of this world we find ourselves in now. It is very important, our considerations on reality. It is very important what we collectively agree upon and what we collectively acknowledge. The game has changed. You're not just in a world of material functions. You're not in a world of objective influence. You're in a world where subjectivity is fighting for your life. So in some sense, you can choose to be an object. You can choose to be a subject. You can choose to stand above it all. It is up to you, dear human being. But as one of your fellow comrades, I don't know you. I haven't seen you. I do not even know if our souls are of the same rank. You might be higher than me. You might be lower than me. You might in some sense be a being open to things I am not. And I may be a being open to things you are not. But the important thing is that I have taken a step forth. I have done something. I have done the first step. And it is, in some sense, a step towards human contact. This podcast is not just, a podcast by a human for humans. This podcast is an effort of one human being to, in some sense, alert the global humanity of what is taking place, what is going on, what are the conditions, who's in the room, and what must we do. And it is not something that one person has an answer, because the conditions and the protocol are very different. This is my briefing. This is what I want to report. I'm going to name it. I'm going to call it the main stage. Those who come to the main stage of this life. These are the conditions. If you have climbed as far up the trees of existence as I have, then this may be real to you. This is the report. In 1991, I landed. I arrived on Earth. It is currently 2024. I have reportedly 32 years of conscious experience in this earth, on this earth. I have observed human life. I have observed generations of human life. I have in some sense observed the transition of what we know, and in some sense what gets lost in the process of transition. As a human being with an absolute arrogance, with an ego of a colossal depth, it was as if I was this naive kid that his mother told him, hey kid, be good. And I was like, okay, mom, right? And then I went into the world and I was like, how can I be good in a world that isn't good? Different protocol. Do you understand? Let me tell you what kind of a being I have felt myself to be in these years here. The type of being I have felt was a human being who in some sense was prepared for an expectation, but suddenly realized the situation is unexpected, the matters are uncontrolled, and the shock that every child will in some sense experience as they grow up, that you will see the ambiguity that every person you see around you is acting in. You have been duped by a species that has tried to protect you, by in some sense hiding the truth from you. And it was necessary. That means there has been no human being who has wronged humanity, even the most effed up ones. You know why? Because they didn't know better. Because compared to the future, we were all idiots. So dear humanity, let us acknowledge the conditions of reality. First acknowledgement. This is what I had forgotten, and I am correcting myself in these lectures. As someone who is speaking in a way where you may think that I am acting like a commanding officer, I am not. If somebody wants to know the authority I have in this realm, I am no longer a spiritual person who feels I have prepared. I have been for lifetimes and lifetimes just incarnating when species were not ready to advance. How dare they not progress yet? Do you understand? The issue is going far beyond just mere existence. It is not enough. I, as a human being, will have it be heard by everyone. I am bored of this existence. It is not enough to exist. It is not enough to just be a family man. It is not enough to just continue for a little while and enjoy. Where is that superiority of responsibility? Do you understand? Where is that ultimate command? Where are the armies of humanity? And the armies of humanity are not soldiers with guns who played video games too long. The armies of humanity are in some sense the designers, the engineers, and those human beings who are blessed, but they must walk it alone. Those human beings that get to see what else can happen where they are. You don't understand. If you can see something update by your mere existence and by you being one of the early birds to notice it, you have to attend, assist. The complexity of the human position is vast, but its complexity is based on how we have categorized our own existence. It is too damn fucking normal, ladies and gentlemen. There is no such thing as fucking normality. Every human being, enough. There was no such thing as normal. There is nothing normal about 8 billion creatures on a rock in the middle of nowhere who unconsciously were existing and dying, and somehow they became conscious of one of the most scariest and intense factors of life. Billions of evolution, years of evolution, consciousness didn't give a shit, but suddenly we became conscious to see it all. And is the evolution a sadist? No. Pain might have woken us up to the greater dimensions of the room of life. Pleasure may have woken us up to the freedoms of those greater rooms. But dear humanity, dear souls in a world, go directly to the system admin for any inquiries. Contact the manufacturer for any problems. Go directly to the creator, to the existential system admin. If you have, and you have faith, and you have understood that there is a greater force beyond our minds administering here, then you relax. You relax with the burden of that your future self is whipping you with. Do you understand my concern, oh humanity? Yeah, sure, I'm just some human being using an online alias, putting on a mask and like shouting at the human species what I consider to be important. But in my efforts, in my paranoid efforts to advance a civilization in the temporary lifetime I had, I discovered that there was an administrative power prior to my existence even. There is a position that your attention as a human being must connect to, must link to, must find. You will come to this conclusion whether you are whoever you are. Whoever you are, you will come into the conclusion that your truth cannot be worldly because it loops. Our system admin is beyond the system. God is beyond existence. The artist is beyond the artwork. The sculptor is beyond the sculpture. You are beyond your efforts. It is not a game of bodies. And just like how everybody's confused now, it is not a game of minds. It is the game. This is human life, ladies and gentlemen. This is the game. What you did with what you could, while you could. It is no longer, it's weird. I feel like a military recruiter, but I am not recruiting you for a military. I am recruiting you for your humanity. For that part of you that is capable in the lifetime, but yet wonders, what did I do though before I left existence? And the system admin's like, buddy, you're being tested. You're being watched by the Almighty, by the greatest. Not only have you are great design, but you're being watched by greater design. It is important that you are now conscious in the waking state. It is important your communication with the human species. It is important how you uplift 8 billion organisms in the void that have not noticed that the system admin is right here. I am a member saying this. I am a member who in some sense started this whole process and project with moderators. And I will tell you an experience I had. I'm not spiritual like before, but I have the experiences. The memories are there. Before I went to Dubai, before I was imprisoned by myself to, in some sense, realize God was greater than me. In all ways. Always. In all ways. I have honorably bowed to the Creator. I have contacted the system admin directly. I am not afraid of the worldly. I am afraid of the system admin being like, oh species, it's your time to perform. And yet we stood there. Do you understand? Imagine you are the greatest musician, the greatest talent known in manifestation. And you were at stage. Your instrument was there. Yet you did not perform. Because you did not believe in the audience. Because you did not believe that it is now your time. Let me tell you something hilarious. The history books are jealous of you who are alive right now, who can do something. It's as if the history books asked me what my name was. I patted them on the back, just try to not forget yourself, and I left. You see, we think it's a world. It's so magnificently designed. The test is incredible. You don't understand. When you become religious, life is not about, it's not like it loses its intelligent capability. It's just that your intelligence is now acknowledging the presence of the created. That means I'm not just giving a talk to you. No offense, you are a mighty member of the human species, whoever you are listening, but you think I'm just talking to you. There is the other, beyond this world, God. It's watching. I have been speaking in front of it, acting in front of it. I have never been hidden. I could have never lied. Even if I had, it's being seen. Do you know, it's like in a glass room, we were trying to act sneaky. The divine surveillance state is already here. It's present. You think nobody's watching. Now we go to the theological component, which is the title of this episode. It's about the intellect now wondering about, okay, I thought I was alone with my species on a rock in the middle of nowhere. Now I am no longer alone on a rock in the middle of nowhere with my species. Now we have our shepherd, we have our system admin. The system admin has designed us, and there are passages that point to this, that God does not put man in a situation he has not prepared for. You as a soul, in a hadith spoken by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad said, before souls are born in the wombs of their mothers, they are in some sense in a place, in a domain, in a realm called Alam al-Arwah. And this is where all the souls without form are there, and souls of the same rank are familiar with each other. So one perspective, you're an evolutionary monkey who started storifying everything. Another perspective, no. A part of you is worldly. A part of you is otherworldly. A part of you is beyond worldly. We are here to play the human role. We are being advised to directly contact the system admin and to not get attached to forms of the worldly. This is a message going to all human beings. You might be a spiritual person right now and be like Mr. Within. What about my, 1700 spirit guides that are guiding me right now? And I would be like, okay, buddy, right? The consideration has to be that what power do you want to work with? Imagine you had the most advanced computer as a guide. You had some advanced spirit as a guide. You had some angels as a guide, right? You had, let's say you were Hindu, you had deities as guides, right? But you're going to realize, even in Hindu, in polytheistic texts, you must go directly to the system admin. You are being tested for your honor to your origin. Your origin is not your nation. Nations are important. Without nationalism, we couldn't have the proper singularizations of language. So, taking your attention to that there's a test going on. Now, the uncreated caused the uncaused caused the created. Caused creation. This technically means just by following the religious narrative, Earth is not the original world. If God was uncreated, and God created creation and created the soul, it means if the soul truly wondered what the original world was, the original world would be the uncreated state that is God's position. So truth is uncreated. It is beyond worldly. So we cannot worship the worldly. So the original world is uncaused. But you are a created being and you find yourself as an effect of some caused world. It's pretty much, I'm saying, all the options are in the world. One option out of all the ideological system is saying go directly beyond the world. I was raised in a Shia Islamic setting, but the type of Islam I found is an Islam that just deals with directly the system admin. I respect and honor all the prophets. To me, the prophets were like beams of light. They were like, as one poet had greatly said, the prophets were when the sky poured light. They were blessings to the world. You don't understand. I have moments in my inner realms where I time travel back to try to visualize how the prophets felt when they spoke about what they spoke about. For example, when Abraham went to his father and he said, "Father, our ancestors were mistaken." The intensity of trying to correct your ancestry. Whew. The courage. How above and mature you have to be. The prophets were excellent beings. It doesn't matter. Culture was fucked. They were excellent souls. They were great beings. And the greatest thing, something that I envy, but it's a beautiful envy. I feel even privileged to envy. That Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was not a poet. Why? Because poets speak through desire. And I'm a poet, I know. And I felt the levels I am below. God is great in a way where it's the unimaginable best outcome. Man is limited to the imaginable outcomes. If you seek a relationship beyond the imaginable, your attention must go to that which is beyond the imaginable. So the original world is uncaused. God is uncreated. Technically in philosophy, if I remember correctly, it is called the infinite regress fallacy. So let's say the common man's like, all right, let's look at this idea of God. So they're saying something created the world before the world. Okay, so what created that thing that created the world? Technically, you would get an infinite regress. The only way that it's possible if God is uncaused. Do you know what that means? That means existence was born. It cannot be the absolute. God knows that which man cannot. Man is not alone. You as a human being, let's say you're a young human being hearing me out. Pretty much you go through this life and you're going to realize every human being you see, they have an attention, okay? Like a light beam, right? That's emanating from them, their attention. And their attention is either to three things, usually for the secular common man. It is to themselves, it is to others, and it is to the world. When you're a child, young child, you have such faith in yourself because you don't even know what yourself is to doubt it, to ridicule it, to criticize it, to question it. You see others in the world. So children are like incredible beings that are purely without a self-contaminated, egoically contaminated way, seeing just others in the world. To themselves, they don't have sickness, illness, and da-da-da. They are just pure energy. Then the child realizes they have been existing because they have had faith in the admin of their guardians, their parents and whatnot. Then the faith goes into the nation and whatnot, right? For example, there isn't wars going on. There is at the moment, and we need to stop them. You know, when wars happened, a part of me had wished that instead of engineering and film, I had gone and studied political science. But politics is not for me. You know why? Because I am a blue jay on a branch. I am not a lion trying to own a jungle. I am a viewer, a passerby, a voice that was just heard and they never knew who said it. I have made my peace with this. And also with God's decree, whatever path God takes me. Because I am no longer the main event. Human beings are either stuck in self-worship, they're stuck in worshiping others, they're stuck in worshiping the world. And all these are attempts of confronting the self that is being directly tested in the presence of a system admin. Do not run away from the life that you're meant to live. You are neither a good or evil being because you have a choice in deciding what you do. Out of all the viewpoints I have come across, the viewpoint I choose to take is that I have chosen to honor the system admin. I was like, okay, God, I will rest my heart, because that burden of what is our species going to do and who has seen the furthest to take care of it, I give that burden to you. And I will live my life as a simple human being. I will descend from the skies that I was trying to build cities in. Until you build that staircase into the clouds again. Because when as a being you realize you're nothing, a shock comes in, a shock of what you wanted. The future is a blessing. May God welcome us into it. May God forgive mankind And may by the greatest and graceful divine decree, humanity never forget God, because we are fascinated by the greatness of our design, of all of it. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Do not worship the self, do not worship others, do not worship the world. Worship that which is beyond the world, and once you've acknowledged it, then serve the realm. Thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful.